Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Okay, so this is a different kind of video than I usually do over here. We're just gonna hang out and talk. Well, I guess that is a typical video over here. Today, we're just gonna hang around and talk because, We're gonna hang out and talk today because my day is not going as planned. My plan for today was that I was gonna go to the pool today. I was gonna go to the pool today. You know, the kids are back in school and summer is winding down and there's only so many pool days left. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go to the pool tomorrow is what I was thinking yesterday. And then I was like hanging out with my husband last night and he said, you know, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. And I said, no, it's supposed to rain at like 6 or 7. And he looked on the weather app and he goes, oh yeah, it's not supposed to rain until tomorrow night. Well, took the dogs out this morning, it was already thundering. So I was like, okay. So when it's a Tuesday and I had a list of a bunch of videos. I made a list of videos to make for this entire week on every single channel. So if you'd like to know what I'm making on my other channels, today I'm covering on my Peter Watches TV channel the new documentary on the Delphi murders that just came out like a week ago on Hulu. It's called Capturing the Killer, The Girls on the High Bridge. It's fantastically done. There's a lot of new information. The convicted killer, Richard Allen, his wife, is interviewed heavily in the documentary. So I will be covering that today over on my Peter Watches TV channel. But anyway, I had a list of videos for this channel that some videos I was going to do over here. And I had on here, I was going to do actually some updates that have come out since the Amy Bradley. I thought since I'm doing the Delphi reaction on my Peter Watches TV channel, I had recently done a reaction to the new Amy Bradley is Missing documentary on Netflix. And it's a fantastically done documentary if you haven't seen it yet. Anyway, I did a reaction to that on my Peter Watches TV channel, and surprisingly, a lot of people watched it and responded to my video over there. And so there's been a lot of updates that have happened since that documentary came out. And so I thought that I would talk about that over here today. But then I was like, because I thought, well, that's kind of like, you know, that makes sense. Well, I guess we are just really hanging out talking, aren't we? Anyway, I was like, I think that kind of makes sense since I'm doing the Delphi one and then do some true crime over here. But in all honesty, I was like, I don't know that I want to get I'm doing 2 videos. It's very dark topics. I don't know that I want to really do all that today. Sometimes it kind of, you know, it weighs heavy on me. And so I had a Jojo Siwa video that I was going to do. And I had all these receipts on Jojo Siwa, and I went into my phone, and I did a little bit of a purge this weekend of receipts. And I purged all my Jojo Siwa receipts. So I started trying to go look them back up again, and I was like, you know what? In all honesty, let that bake a second. In all honesty, I don't care that deeply about... I just have to tell you on a side note, I just love having this kind of stuff, like hanging out in our bed again, from Walter and Otis. Anyway, I was like, I don't care that deeply about Jojo Siwa that I want to look up all these receipts and all this kind of stuff. So then I was going to do a rant video, because I haven't done a rant video over here in a really, really long time. But in all honesty, again, it's getting rainy outside, and I was like, okay, I want to do kind of some old school stuff. So I went in and I started looking at the James Charles and the Jeffree Star, and I started taking some notes and taking some screenshots of some stuff that was going on with them. But so this is going to be kind of a crossover video, okay, about different things. So anyway, I had seen some stuff that, y'all know Chelsea Suarez, okay, CC back in the day, Chelsea Suarez. Anyway, she does a lot of multi-level marketing videos. I love her videos. And she gets a lot of backlash from the people that she makes videos about. And so I had seen some stuff that she put up on Instagram last night. And I actually even responded to her about this. I said something like this or something like that. But anyway, and then she followed up with it today. I'm going to read it here in a second because I thought what she said was pretty profound. Anyway, so, hey, Chelsea, how are you? She was just in Las Vegas, one of my favorite cities of the world. Anyway, she went and saw Absinthe. I love that show, Absinthe, and stayed at the Cosmopolitan where my husband and I were married. 14 years ago this month, we were married at the Cosmopolitan. So anyway, I saw her put this stuff up, and it kind of got my wheels turning. So this is kind of how videos come up for me. I see something over here, and then it kind of gets in my head, and I start thinking about it, and then I see a receipt, and then it gets but when I try to sit down on video and form coherent thoughts about how it all comes together, it's basically true crime, but drama form, true crime, right? So for me, it's kind of like, it makes sense in my head, but to communicate it, I think that's the problem that my channel has had since its inception. It's like, what's in my head? Like, I can't, you know, like my mom said years and years and years before she passed away, we were talking about feelings and emotions, and she goes, there's just some feelings and emotions that you cannot, like, you can never put words to. And I've always thought about that, about the fact that, you know, that have you ever had a feeling inside and you wish you could communicate how that feels to somebody else, but you can't? Well, often I have this idea for a video that I want to like put together, but it doesn't come out. Like when I sit down and I film it with a fan and all this kind of stuff, it just doesn't come out the way that I mean it to. So anyway, this video probably won't either. But so I have that in the back of my mind, the stuff that Chelsea put out there, right? And so then today I was like, I'm going to look into like the Jeffree Star and the James Charles and the Jaclyn Hill of it all, right? And so I was going through stuff. I was looking at people like Colleen Ballinger to see what she was up to. Not much. She was like, brought out some old song of hers, some kids song. People were like, you should release a kids album, Colleen. Yeah, I think that's probably a really good idea for Colleen Ballinger to release a kids album. I think that would probably go over really, really well. Anyway, so I love when people say stuff like that. Like, I'm past making the videos about all that, but anyway, but I did mention her, so there you go. But anyway, I love when people say stuff like that. It's like, what? Colleen Ballinger, a kids album. Oh, that would be fantastic, I think. She should probably go on tour again with that kids album. I think that would be a really good idea. Anyway, so she's shady today. She's shady. But anyway, I stayed up too late last night, and I'm pissed because I watched that War of the Worlds, the new one from 2025. It's not good. It's not good, but I couldn't stop watching it. I just couldn't stop watching it. And then I'm hooked on that TV show on Prime called Ballard. It's a spinoff of Bosch. It is so good. The first episode, I wasn't sold, but in the second episode, I was like, I am so into it. I love when like mystery thrillers also like integrate like social issues and things like that, and it does that, and I love it so much. But anyway, so I started looking into it all today. I was looking at like Colleen Ballinger, but not much. I just looked at her for a couple minutes. And then I was looking at like James Charles, and there's some drama with him. Supposedly, I guess somebody like got mistaken as James Charles, as TikTok beauty influencer. I don't know who this person is. I'm kind of out of the loop of all that stuff. Anyway, some young guy, and I guess somebody from Love Island mistaked him. His name's like, I just watched a whole video about it on T-Spill's video. I don't know what his name is. Devin or something like that. But anyway, y'all probably know who he is. But apparently he got mistaken for James Charles, and he got really shitty about it. I'd be really shitty if I got mistaken for James Charles too. And if it was because of my hair or something like that, I can tell you, or my fingernails, I can tell you real quick, I'd be going to get me a new hairdo the next day. Hairdos for you, Tracy Turnblatt from Hairspray. I'd be getting me a new hairdo the next day, and I'd be filing those nails down. I wouldn't want nobody to confuse me with James Charles. Okay, at all. I don't blame him for being pissed off. I'd be pissed off too, okay? So I totally get that. But anyway, I don't know enough about that to talk about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I was looking into Jeffree Star and all this kind of stuff, and then I was like, oh, let's go see what Jaclyn Hill's been doing lately. I haven't heard, nobody's been sending me stuff about Jaclyn Hill. Is she doing anything today? So I went over to her TikTok. Why is Jaclyn Hill so angry at the world? Why is she so mad? First of all, she's talking about how she's like living her best life and she just loves being happy. But then every other TikTok that she puts out is about how mean people are to her. I'm like, girl. Oh my God, girl. Are you still talking about that? Are you still talking about it? Like, listen, I have covered Jaclyn Hill being bullied for so many years on this channel because she's always like, people are bullying me. People are bullying me. Okay. Now, let's just do a little history lesson of how my feelings are about this, okay? I was horrifically bullied growing up, okay? Elementary school, junior high, high school, horrifically bullied. In any way, shape, or form, okay? Physically threatened. I mean, it was bad. So then, you know, all these years later, as the old man on YouTube, I get on YouTube and all these people are like, oh, he's bullying me, and she's bullying me, and this person's bullying me, and all these people online are bullying me, and mom mentality and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, but you're a public figure. Like, that kind of goes along with the territory a little bit. I'm not saying that anybody deserves to be bullied. I'm not saying that, right? But I don't know that I think being held accountable for factual evidence that you have put out there is the same thing as being bullied, okay? Especially when what you're putting out there is it's the basis of your business, okay? And you're selling products and things like that. And what people are holding you accountable for, like with the lipsticks, she's now, you know, she's retracted all of that and said that people bullied her for the lipsticks, basically, is what she said. So she's the one that came up with them faulty lipsticks. Jaclyn Hill can't decide where she stands on those lipsticks. That's the problem, okay? She can't decide if she is pissed off about the lipsticks or if it was the best life learning lesson that she ever had in her entire life. She can't figure out if she was the CEO and she actually owned her company or if she never owned the company, because one second she's saying that she's the CEO of the company. The next second she's saying that Forma Brands offered for her to buy her company back from them, but she didn't want to do that. But that's not what a CEO would do, okay? That's not the role of a CEO. I don't know if she missed that week in Boss Babe CEO class of what a chief, you know, executive officer, what CEO stands for, or chief financial officer, or whatever she thinks she was with that business that she wasn't, because the paperwork, it's all been proven that she wasn't in that kind of stuff. I don't know, but she can't figure out how she feels about them lipsticks, okay? And like once a month, I think that's actually the last Jaclyn Hill video that I made, was her bringing up these lipsticks again. No, this is not an affiliate link video about Jaclyn Hill, but we're going to talk about that in just a second, just briefly, because it kind of plays into all these TikToks. So I'm like, okay, what is she so mad about? Like, I don't understand this. So I'm going to her TikToks, right? And when you go to her TikTok, hold on a second, I had it pulled right up. I had to turn the volume down, stuff like that. So you go to her TikTok, and the first TikTok, I thought I turned the volume down. You guys, now I just turned my phone off and everything. So I thought I turned the volume down, but I didn't. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Okay. Hold on, I turned the volume down. Okay, so here she is. Here's the TikTok. And it's Jaclyn Hill, and she's laying out by the pool and things like that, okay? And she's saying, it goes in here and it says, how do you sleep at night, knowing people don't like you? And she says, with no underwear in case they want to kiss my ass, what's your advice? And this came out on August 3rd. I haven't actually read any of the comments on here, so let's see the comments. Someone said, I love Spicy Jaclyn. Somebody said, I assume the people who don't like me are people I don't like either, so who cares? Somebody said, Miss Girl, I'm nearly out of your luminous translucent powder, and I can't find it. Girl, baby, it ain't coming back. Somebody said, I mean, people are all like, just, you know, singing her praises. Okay, oh my God, T, and all this kind of stuff. I know that's right, mother, and all this kind of stuff. Jaclyn Hill is no better. What? Listen, baby, when you want to take words from the gays like mother, okay, Jaclyn Hill is not mother, okay? I'm just going to tell you that right now. As a 53-year-old gay man that we used the word mother when I came out in 1990, okay, Sasha Colby, maybe she's mother. She is probably most definitely mother. Jaclyn Hill, not mother, okay? If y'all are going to steal the words from the gays, you don't want the gays to have anything else, but if you want to steal the words from the gays, okay, don't be stealing them and putting them on Jaclyn Hill. She don't deserve that term, okay? She don't deserve that term. So anyway, let's get in here and see. So then she goes in, the next TikTok is her, and she's talking about people sleep shaming kids or something. I didn't even watch that one. Then she does it, it's a L'Oreal ad, because her and apparently I think like Manny MUA were in this L'Oreal ad, okay? So this is her getting splash water with L'Oreal ad. Then it goes in, and this is the very next one. This is from 7/27, and she's sitting in her car, and she says, it says hashtag, or quotes, bring back bullying. I remember being pulled out of grade school in the 3rd grade and becoming the homeschool weirdo because of how bad I was bullied and beaten up, okay? Well, I remember that too, Jaclyn. And one of the things I will say is, and I wasn't homeschooled, and I actually wasn't pulled out of school. I actually had to endure 12 years of it. I had to endure people writing horrific slurs on my locker and marker that would never come off my junior and senior year of high school. I can remember being followed home, and right up into me getting out of my car in my driveway, and somebody coming right up against my garage door, threatening that I had to do certain things, or they were going to tell people things. I can remember being so bullied in high school, junior high, elementary school, and I had to endure all 12 years of it, okay? Because part of it for me was that I kept it a secret. I mean, everybody at school knew, but from my parents, because I didn't want them to be worried about me in a way that I was worried about myself. So flash forward all these years, one of the things I used to say in my videos when we would talk about Jaclyn Hill and other people talking about them being bullied is that we overuse this word to the point, and I just actually had somebody reach out to me yesterday with it was a sad story about a family member of theirs that was being bullied, and they actually asked me to speak on it. So here, I'm going to speak on it a little bit. I didn't plan on getting into all this today, but I'm going to speak on it a little bit. What I said back in the day, okay, and I stand by this, is that when you're an online figure, okay, and you're on the level of Jaclyn Hill, and you own a company, and you're a CEO, and your consumers and your audience have questions, okay? Like, this is where Jaclyn Hill wants to be a boss babe CEO, but then, like, the boss babe CEO of, like, let's say McDonald's, if people have complaints that there's hairs in their fish sandwiches, okay, like, the CEO is not going to get all over, you know, Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, the CEO of McDonald's being like, the world's bullying me. No, baby, that's part of what goes along with the job of being a boss babe CEO, okay? You handle business. That's what you do. But Jaclyn Hill's never been able to handle business. Probably because she didn't even own her own business. So there was no business to handle because she didn't own her own business, all right? But what I said back then, and I stand by this today, is that we have watered down the word bully, okay? We have watered that word down because we have allowed social media public figures like Jaclyn Hill to use this word so much over and over and over and over again, okay? Now, I do think that there is mob mentality that goes on, and I do believe that there is bullying that definitely goes on with social media figures and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that it doesn't go on, okay? But what Jaclyn Hill calls bullying is when people ask questions about things that she is obviously lying about, okay? I mean, Jen Loves Reviews did an entire video breaking down the paperwork of the ownership and the brand of Jaclyn Cosmetics, and Jaclyn still holds to the fact that she still says, my company, I was the CEO. No, girl, you weren't. Forma Brands owns your brand. That's a blatant lie. That is a blatant lie, okay? You never, like, if she owned Jaclyn Cosmetics, she owned it and sold it to Forma. So she is talking about maybe, I don't know, that month that she LLC'd it and owned it. So, I mean, if that's what she's calling bullying, because she never defines the bullying, okay? She never says that people body shame her. If people were I mean, she said that back in the day that people would say that, but she hasn't said that in a long time, okay? When she talks about the bullying, it's people calling her out for things like affiliate marketing and not disclosing sponsorships. When she'll come out and say, if it's a sponsorship, I would let you know. But then she'll say, that's bullying. For people to ask her, is this a sponsorship? That's bullying, okay? When people ask her what happened with the lipsticks, that's bullying. So it's her business stuff. It's the way that she moves from a business point of view that, for me, is what she considers bullying, because she's really never come out and really defined what this bullying situation is for her, how she sees that the internet is bullying for her. So she puts on here this whole thing about bullying. People underneath her comment, somebody said, I still remember mean things said to me in, like, 2nd grade. That stuff sucks. Somebody said, who the F is saying bring back bullying? There's 20 comments over here. Somebody said all these Gen Z in the comment sections of random videos. Yes. Somebody said, they're talking about all this kind of stuff about bullying and whatever. So here's my thing, right? Like, bullying still exists today, okay? It exists in schools, most definitely. Even these anti-bullying campaigns do not work, of which back in the day I was part of, putting some of those together. They do not work, and sharing my story of being bullied. Because they say they have zero tolerance, but they don't. But there's bullying in the workplace as well, okay? There's bullying in families. There's bullying in friend groups, okay? It happens as adults just as much as it happens with kids. But we have overused the word bullying so much that it really has no meaning anymore. Because if somebody says something like, do you like my shirt? And you go, I mean, I would wear a different shirt. Stop bullying me. Like, we consider that bullying, okay? So, and bullying is defined by the victim. So Jaclyn Hill definitely 100% has a right to say she's being bullied. But I don't know, like, could she come out and, I think that would be a great video for Jaclyn Hill to come out and talk about being bullied, okay? But I don't understand why this is what she wants to continue to talk about. Unless she's just doing, like, a TikTok trend. And then, but people are going to pick up from that, because for years, Jaclyn Hill has said that she has been bullied online. And she has always played the victim, that everybody's coming for her. This has been her MO since the lipsticks. Prior to the lipsticks, I mean, this is the history lesson that I think that people sometimes forget with Jaclyn Hill. That prior to the lipsticks, Jaclyn Hill never really talked about being bullied online. She really never talked about any of that kind of stuff. It was with the lipsticks that she started talking about this. And it was the fact that Jaclyn Hill was always on the rise until that moment. Like, Jaclyn was the golden girl of YouTube, you know? She started off just doing these get-readies with me. People loved her. I still know people today that are like, oh, I learned how to do makeup from Jaclyn Hill. I'm not talking about people that are on YouTube. I'm talking about friends of mine that are like, oh, I learned how to do, like, friends of my husband's are like, they don't know Jeffree Star. They don't know these people, but they know Jaclyn Hill. They loved Jaclyn. They loved her authenticity back in the day. Like, they loved her get readies with me. And that was one of the very first comments that I ever heard when I started covering Jaclyn Hill back in the day. And I liked Jaclyn back then. There was something about her that was real likable. I think there still is. But people would say that they just felt like they were sitting there talking to a friend. Then what the comment I started hearing was that people would say they felt like she sold out. Like, for me, okay, when she was cutting the fuzzies off of her Chanel purse, and she said, oh, maybe these are where the fuzzies come off from your lipsticks. Off of your Chanel purse that you purchased, on the heels of people having, and people today are like, oh my God, I never had a problem with the lipsticks, whatever, okay? I don't care if people today want to come out and say they didn't have a problem with the lipsticks. A lot of people had problems with the lipsticks. A lot of people did. The lipsticks were problematic, okay? People can sit there today and they can say there was never a problem with the lipsticks. They didn't have a problem with the lipsticks. Their lipsticks were perfect. If that were the case, that those lipsticks were not problematic, Jaclyn Hill would not have refunded every person that bought a lipstick. Jaclyn Cosmetics, or whoever was the owner at that time, Jaclyn Cosmetics would never have put out an apology video. She would never have said she hired 6 scientists, which we never heard about. She never would have come out and said she would never use that lab again. She would never have come out and told that story, okay? If there was nothing wrong with those lipsticks 6 years ago, Jaclyn Hill would have stayed silent and said those lipsticks are perfect. Shut your mouth. There's nothing to complain about those lipsticks. She didn't do that. She came out and did damage control, okay? So if Jaclyn Hill wants to complain about being bullied online over the lipsticks, or about people being upset about the lipsticks, or her not getting over the lipsticks, Jaclyn Hill really doesn't have anybody else to complain to but Jaclyn Hill. I don't remember everybody forcing Jaclyn Hill to put out those lipsticks that she worked on for 10 years. You know, I mean, that was Jaclyn Hill's deal, you know? I mean, if McDonald's puts out a fish sandwich and all of a sudden they say, didn't nobody force you to buy a fish sandwich? Didn't nobody force you to put it on the fucking menu? And Jaclyn Hill was not forced to put those lipsticks out. She chose to. She sat in a video with her big PR box and talked about how proud she was of naming all those lipsticks. Then wants to backtrack and say it's everybody's fault because everybody online was dissecting those lipsticks, acting like that's what everybody does to everybody online. Listen, at that time, this is the other thing that people need to remember. At that time, Jeffree Star was 100 times more hated than Jaclyn Hill as a beauty influencer. 100 times, okay? I mean, that was the time when people were bringing up Jeffree Star's racism from the past and showing up videos of him being so derogatory towards women, and I mean, on and on and on, okay? If that were going to happen, that people were going to dissect makeup that closely and there was no truth to it, and they were just trying to ruin somebody's career over makeup, they would have done it to Jeffree Star. They weren't going to do it to Jaclyn Hill. Jaclyn Hill wasn't doing anything wrong at that time. She had pissed a few people off, a few people in the industry, but people really didn't know that. People didn't know the story of Marlene Estelle and all that stuff at that time. Jaclyn Hill, people really liked Jaclyn Hill at that time, except for that she was, like, people thought she had sold out. And that she was, like, flaunting her money and things like that. That was really people's only complaint. People didn't have a lot of issues with her like they did with Jeffree Star. And this was also past Dramageddon 1. I mean, at that time, Manny MUA, Laura Lee, and they both had brands. Okay, they were, like, falling under major scrutiny after the fallout of Dramageddon 1, which was with Jeffree Star, Nikita Dragun, and Gabriel Zamora. I mean, if all of a sudden people decided to turn on a beauty influencer, they weren't going to randomly just pick Jaclyn Hill, okay? They had a group of people at that time that had very problematic behavior. Jeffree Star, Manny MUA, Laura Lee, blah, 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 on and on and on, okay? So to me, it's interesting that she goes this thing of like, well, everybody bullied me over the lipsticks. Like, specifically, the world picked Jaclyn Hill to bully, and then it just happened to be at the time that the lipsticks were coming out. And so this is like a perfect way to get Jaclyn Hill. We're going to get her on these lipsticks. It wasn't nobody else's fault that those lipsticks were problematic. And I think people forget sometimes that she got in a full-ass video and talked about what was problematic with those lipsticks. And talked about the gloves. And talked about the fuzzies. And talked about the heat and things like that. She did that. Nobody forced her to do that. She did that. So the fact that, I mean, 6 years later, she's still talking about this. She's still talking about... And it's every other TikTok. And I'm like, girl, what is going on? Are these just, and so then the next one is, she's eating, and it is like she's showing something that she eats, and it's a non-disclosed affiliate link. And then the next one is another one where she's angry again, okay? And she's like, You shut down, oh, hold on a second. You shut down your business, now what? And it's to this trend, this TikTok trend that's going on where it's this music in the background. I'm taking this time to enjoy myself and heal from the past. So when will you start another business? And she says on here, and she just looks so pissed in this TikTok, the whole thing. I'm really trying to enjoy this era before having kids. Well, when will that be? You're not getting any younger. Okay, it's like she takes every rude comment that she gets and she turns it, it's like, girl, you said at the beginning of this, you shut down your business, now what? And she said on here, I'm taking this time to enjoy myself and heal from the past. Well, you don't really seem like you're enjoying yourself, Jaclyn. And I don't know that you seem like you've healed from the past, because you bring up the lipsticks more than anybody else. In fact, the last video that I did talking about you was when I was reading the Beauty Guru Chatter, and on there it talked about how you're the one that brings it up more than anybody. Jaclyn Hill brings up those lipsticks more than anybody. So I don't know what past you're healing from, girl, but maybe it's time to let those lipsticks go. Okay? I mean, when people say, will you bring back the lipsticks? She goes, maybe. Girl, let them lipsticks go. Okay? If you are that grand, come up with another product. Seriously, come up with another product that they cannot live without. Start your new business. I don't know. Call it, I don't know what you're going to call it, okay? I was going to say JC, but that's James Charles. But girl, you seem so bitter. I'm like, what is she so bitter about? Like, in all honesty, I don't really feel like, and I'm just being completely fair, when you look at her comments underneath here, and the comments on her Instagram, she gets glowing comments. Now, I mean, I made videos years ago about her, about how she buys a lot of followers on Instagram. That was when Jaclyn blocked me. Okay, well, Jaclyn blocked me, first of all. I want to make this clear, okay? Because I talk a lot about how some of these influencers block me. Back in the day, okay, when I was singing Jaclyn's praises, and I said, this was before the lipsticks, and I said, I really like Jaclyn, there's something really relatable. She got in a video, and she said I was like the uncle of YouTube, okay? Then when I did my job, this is my job. When I did my job as a drama commentary channel and I started talking about the lipsticks, she took real issue with that. Then she started coming for the drama channel. She didn't like the fact that we were talking about the lipsticks, okay? Then when I started talking about the affiliate link marketing, which she never discloses appropriately, still doesn't to this day, ever disclose appropriately. She's got one right here where it's her makeup bag that she's packing for vacation. Here, I'll show it to you. Right here it is. She says it's the Amazon link, doesn't disclose it appropriately, okay? She never discloses any of her stuff appropriately for Amazon links. And I'm at the point where I'm kind of bored talking about it, if you want to know the truth. Nobody cares. I don't care. She's going to get away with it or she's going to get fined. It's whatever at this point. So, but it wasn't when I called her out about the affiliate marketing. It was when her husband, Jordan, had a tab on his Instagram, okay, that said all the kitchen gadget, my favorite kitchen gadgets, and if you hit it, it was over 100 links of non-disclosed Amazon affiliate links from like a year before, that had, like for the last year, every time he would add it to that, which meant that those were rolling ads that he had on his Instagram and didn't disclose. And then people had sent to me that Jaclyn's sister does the same thing. And I was like, oh, so it's a family affair. These Amazon links are a family affair. It was that video that got me blocked by Jaclyn. Well, if Jaclyn always discloses appropriately, and and her husband always discloses appropriately, and she always discloses her affiliate links appropriately, why would you block me over that? Why was that the video that you blocked me over, Jaclyn? You didn't block me over talking about, and then she had all this stuff to come out and say about drama channels, did this, and drama channels. I have been very nice to her in direct messages. I have reached out to her when she was going through tough times and wished her the best. I said based on personal experience, if she needed somebody to talk to. I know other drama channels have done the same thing. So I don't really know who she's talking about is bullying her, okay? Like, this is my job, okay? Just like your job is to make TikToks and makeup content, which you don't ever do anymore, and I guess you're changing your whole thing, even though you packed a bag of makeup to go hiking in the mountains, but you don't like to wear makeup anymore, which is why you closed your brand down. I mean, this is where people get confused with you, Jaclyn, okay? This is going to stop in a second. Hold on. This is where people get confused with you. So, I don't know who she's talking about who's bullying. It must be the audience. It must be the audience that's bullying her. But then what I don't understand about that is who? Because when I read the comments on her TikToks, they're all glowing. When I read the comments on her Instagram, they're all glowing. When I read the comments on her videos, they're all glowing. Where is she getting this negativity? Where is Jaclyn Hill seeing this negativity? Unless the negativity is coming from within. I don't see it unless she knows that she lies about affiliate links, unless she knows that she's lying to her audience, and she's constantly so worried about what somebody is going to say to her, because I don't see it. I mean, I literally do not see it, you guys, unless she is so highly editing the comments, the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube videos, unless she is so highly editing the comments. I mean, let's just go in here. Here, I'm going to go into Jaclyn Hill's most recent video on YouTube. I don't even know when it was, her most recent video. So Jaclyn Hill's most recent video on YouTube was 1 month ago, my top 40 Amazon Prime items. Like, I almost can't even write this, okay? So she's got 40 Prime items on here for Amazon. Let's go under here and see. My storefront, jewelry folder, skincare folder, all the items in order that I talked about, and she's got 40 links underneath here, and not one of them is disclosed appropriately, okay? Not one of them is disclosed appropriately, because you're supposed to put above there that you earn compensation. Now, when you go underneath here, it has the timestamps for the whole video. Connect with me, my P.O. Box, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, business inquiries only, heart, heart, heart. And then here it says, some links provided are affiliate links. I'm compensated based on some affiliate purchases. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole video about this, but we already know that's not how you're supposed to do it, okay? She doesn't disclose in the video. She doesn't do any of that kind of stuff. But I want to look underneath here and see. Here's the top comment, 685 likes. I'm writing it before it because I want you to see this. We want you to post once a week. I love your content. I miss you here on YouTube. Keep shining. And she liked it, and she also responded to it. Oh, thank you, baby. I'm really trying to. I've recently fallen in love with YouTube again. So she said in here she recently fell in YouTube again, but she hasn't posted a video in a month. Okay, I know it must be very, very hard to post one video a month. I sometimes post 7 videos a day. Jaclyn Hill, don't come with me with the editing bullshit, okay? Jaclyn doesn't edit her videos either. She sends them off to an editor. She said that in her videos. Jaclyn literally sets up a ring light, or she didn't probably set up a ring light. She just sets up her camera and films just like I do. She does no more work than I do. She actually probably does less because she doesn't even publish her own videos, okay? Let's go to the newest comments. Jaclyn, we want more videos. That's from a day ago. Well, there's one negative comment on here, and I'm not going to read it because it's... Anyway... 4 days ago, you look amazing. Why are all these items that I actually needed? Thank you very much. Oh, my F&G, I relate to you more than I thought. She really did. Can you please tell me your top details that you are wearing? We need a skincare routine in detail, please. You look amazing. Literally trying to make a coin. There are actually, I'm looking on here, there actually are some negative comments. Not tons, but, I mean, they're not horrible. I don't know that I would necessarily... call them bullying comments, but most of them are like, love you, seeing you, and oh, you know what, can you please post a morning and nighttime routine? Anyway, so what is Jaclyn Hill so mad about? Can somebody explain to me where she says she's getting all the bullying from? You know what, I want to actually go in here and look and see. Yeah, I don't, like, what is she so angry about? Like, I mean, I don't know. I just, like, when I look at her stuff, I see positive comments. So anyway, I want to get into what I screenshot from Chelsea Suarez, because I love this so much. Okay, so Chelsea put up on her Instagram, here it is, I'm just going to read it to you. She said, parasocial isn't always fan behavior. Sometimes it's just being weirdly obsessed with someone you don't actually know. If you've created entire accounts just to talk shit about someone you don't know, congrats, you're a parasocial weirdo. That's embarrassing, okay? So what she's talking about is when you are creating entire fake accounts, okay, just to talk about, baby, your day is consumed, okay? And she goes on here to say that this is her job. Like, I think that's the one thing that's kind of missed about us is that, like, we press record, we upload, this is a job, okay? Like, I can tell you, when I meet people in person, like, and they, very rarely do people ever ask me, like, I'm not talking about people that watch my videos, I'm people that don't know that I do this for a job. And, like, it's usually always men, and they'll say, well, how do you make money off of doing YouTube videos? And so, you know, you go in and you explain, like, you know, AdSense and sponsorships and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, that's really, really interesting, because that's one of the things that people always want to know about. Okay, when I'm done filming a video, I can tell you, like, I am more interested in reading my books tonight, hanging out with the dogs, okay, watching Ballard, things like that, than I am in continuing to hunt down everything to do with Jaclyn Hill. I probably, on my videos, unless it's going to be a video where I need to have, like, ready receipts, and even then, I might spend 20 to 30 minutes, okay? What Chelsea's talking about is people that have made not just one, not just two, not just four, but multiple, okay, fake accounts. And they just spend their time, many times, talking to each other, okay? It's very obvious. Talking to each other, okay, online. And then also, like, it's bizarre. It's bizarre behavior, okay? That you, like, listen, baby, okay? I've said this enough time. They don't hear it. It doesn't matter, okay? You have one life. You have one life, okay? That you would be that concerned with what, I am not that concerned with what, listen, okay? I think they've done some not great to horrific shit. But the people that I talk about online over here, okay, at the end of the day, I am not that emotionally invested in them that I am spending hours a day. I make a video, I post it, I move on, okay? I think it would probably be best for some people to do the same thing, all right? I think, like, it borderlines on unhealthy at some point, okay? I'm not talking about, like, I feel so strongly for what Chelsea said in here, because she goes on, and somebody said to her, can you explain the difference between that and creating entire podcasts about people you don't know? So what this person is saying is, you do a podcast and make videos about people you don't know. What's the difference, okay, in making all these fake accounts, okay? And so she goes on here to explain it, and I love it. She says, of course, I don't hate the people we cover. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest misconceptions about what, like, people like Chelsea do and drama commentary channels is, I think that people think that we have this deep hatred for it, okay? Now, yesterday I did a video about sister wives, and people in the video, I got reached out to by people, and they said, you got so heated talking about sister wives. Baby, let's never confuse passion with hatred, okay? Like, that's an evil thing that has happened in this world. Let's never confuse passion with hatred. Because I am passionate about something, I get just as passionate watching The Real Housewives of Miami, The Real Housewives of Orange County, Ballard, okay, whatever a true crime documentary, Cody Brown on Sister Wives, whatever I'm watching, I get passionate about. I get passionate about music. I get passionate walking down the street, listening to my audiobooks. I get passionate walking down the street, okay, listening to Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift or some EDM. I live with passion in my heart. Let's not confuse passion with hatred, okay? So, because I get passionate and I make a video about somebody on here does not equal hatred. And she said, of course, I don't hate the people we cover. Outside of my office hours, I don't think about them at all. This is something I have said so many times in my videos, and people will say, yeah, sure you don't. Okay, come live in my house for 24 hours. I will welcome you in my home, okay? I will welcome you in my home. She says, now everybody's going to be showing up at the door. Peter, come and knock on my door. I am doing this with my full government name, not hiding behind an anonymous account. The people I have made an entire podcast series about, and she goes on to say somebody, are people who have done extremely horrible things, and she's talking about all this kind of stuff. I cover scammers like that, and of course I give my opinion, but I don't hate them. There's a huge difference between that and people who greet or create entire accounts to harass and stalk me because they don't like that other content creators they like are friends with me because they think that I am a mean girl or whatever. Okay, so then she goes on and she says them versus me. Them, anonymous accounts versus me. Public figure not hiding behind a burner account. Them, constantly posting mean shit about me for free, not their job. So if that's what, like, Jaclyn Hill's talking about, that people are just doing it, now I think that is bullshit. You're not trying to educate anybody. You're making up lies, blah, 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 whatever. And then she says me, covering public figures who are scammers or unethical in situations made public, and this is my job. She says, them, these people hate me. Me, I don't hate the people I cover in my podcast or YouTube videos. And one of the reasons I want to bring this up, while I'm discussing people like Jaclyn Hill, I want to make this very, very clear, okay? I want the best for the people that I cover in my videos. I know that a lot of people do not understand that, okay? I know that that's confusing to people. I don't have an emotional attachment to any of the people that I cover in my videos. I can't say that 6 or 7 years ago that was the case when I was talking to some of them on the phone. One of the reasons why I stepped away from that was that I could no longer talk to somebody on the phone and turn around and make a video. When Jeffree Star was texting me being like, are you going to let James Charles get away from that? That was in my head, okay? When I was talking to people on the phone and then I had to turn around and make a video about it, it was in my head. I'm not the person that could separate that. So I stepped away from that, all right? Today, I don't have an emotional attachment. In all honesty, I made a video last week about Robbie DeChristie. I hadn't looked into Robbie DeChristie in over 2 months, okay? Until today, I hadn't looked at what Colleen Ballinger had been doing in several months, okay? Jaclyn Hill, I hadn't looked at in a couple weeks. So I don't have an emotional attachment to these people. I don't know who Jaclyn Hill is talking about when she's talking about people that are bullying her, okay? I don't know who she's talking about. But I do think that we've misused that word to the point that it has really been saturated through the years. I think it's a different thing. And I think it's like, I've noticed it, I would say, like, in the last couple years, okay? That there are people like, I think that when you see some of these people that have lost, like, a great part of their fandom, I think the super fans, which they take offense to that word. I don't know why you would take offense to that word. I think it's so interesting to me that whenever I say super fans, the super fans are the ones that get pissed, okay? Listen, baby, I am a super fan of Stevie Nicks all day long, okay? I will own it all day long. If somebody called me a super fan of Stevie Nicks, I would say, fuck yeah, I'm a super fan of Stevie Nicks. Now, if Stevie Nicks came out and did something seriously problematic, I wouldn't defend it. I'd say, no, that's wrong. She needs to take accountability for that. Are we not human beings? Do we not live in that world? I don't understand that, okay? I don't understand that stance. I'm not talking about 16-year-olds, okay? I'm talking about 40, 35, 40, 50-year-old grown adults, okay? Defending some bullshit behavior of somebody you will never meet online or becoming so obsessed with somebody's behavior that you can't switch it off. That is not healthy, okay? That is bizarre behavior. When I'm done with a video, I turn it off. I suggest everybody else do the same thing. I don't suggest you go and look into Jaclyn Hill. Listen, leave a comment if you want to. Speculate as to why you think she's so angry with the world, okay? Don't hunt her down. Don't look her up. Do whatever you want to do with it, okay? But I think that kind of, like, obsessive behavior, I think it's weird, okay? I think it's weird, and I think it's unhealthy. And in all honesty, I think that, and I've said this in videos recently, that I spend maybe, okay, an hour a day, if even that. I don't make as many videos over here as I used to. And I definitely don't make as many drama commentary videos as I used to. I might spend 3 to 4 hours a week talking about these people. I hope that if I have the opportunity at the end of my life to look back on my life, okay, that my proudest moment was not looking back and being like, I spent so much time talking about Jaclyn Hill. I just want to propose it as a conversation. I personally, the whole point of this video was to say, I think Jaclyn Hill has a rather charmed life. If I were a fan of Jaclyn Hill's, I would love to see her embrace the fact that she has a charmed life, okay? I would love to see her, if her fans are asking her to make YouTube videos, I've said this for years, she posts all this stuff on her Instagram, throw it up in a vlog on YouTube. People would love that. I would love to see that if I were a Jaclyn Hill fan, okay? A random 8-minute video once a week of just throwing pieces together of your Instagram, okay? But when people love you and they come to you and all you're doing is complaining all the time about how you're being bullied or people don't like you or whatever, what you're doing is pushing people away. Jaclyn Hill's got people that are begging her to come back to YouTube and post more videos. People are saying they miss her. I just wish she would embrace her charmed life, you know? When I say on here that I want the best for everybody, I mean that, okay? Because if I want that for myself, and this is something I learned very, very early in recovery, those things that I want for myself, I have to want for everyone else. Because if it's not possible for them, then it's not possible for myself either. And there are a lot of people out there that love Jaclyn Hill, and they want her to post videos, and they want her to be happy. I want Jaclyn Hill to be happy. I don't ever understand the mindset of why we would ever want somebody to be unhappy. I don't understand that mindset. In all honesty, put the lasso of truth around me. This is what I really truly feel. I wish Jaclyn Hill would just let go. I don't even, feel like too much time has gone by. She ain't never going to come out and address it. She ain't never going to come out and address her brand. She ain't never going to come out and address the lipstick. Let it go. Don't mention it again. It's too painful. It brings you too much pain. There's obviously parts of the story that people do not know. I think she was tied up under contract, so just let it go, Jaclyn. Let it go. And honestly, since you're letting everybody know that you're trying to peacefully live your best life, live your best life. You know, show it, don't tell it. People want that for you, Jaclyn. Your fans want that for you. They want that for you. You should want it for yourself too. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.